I asked the four top leaders in Congress whether they'd be willing to come in and talk about what we're going to do between now and Christmas in terms of legislation. And there's a lot to do, including resolving the train strike. And Congress, I think, has to act to prevent it. It's not an easy call, but I think we have to do it. The economy is at risk.
As President Biden this morning talking about a rail strike that could shut down the U.S. economy next week. He wants Congress to mandate a contract between the unions and operators, a deal that effectively favors the big guys, the companies, the railroads. His stance is now way different than what we saw from him in 1992. Then Senator Biden said, where once there was a measure of goodwill between labor and management, now there is none. My colleagues who know the rail employees, as I know them, can only ask, how was this possible? One of the most important reasons for the decline in relations, in my view, is the rail companies knew that in the end, the odds were stacked in their favor. That was back during a rail strike in 1992. Union workers are upset, dare I say betrayed. One said Joe Biden blew it. He had the opportunity to prove his labor-friendly pedigree to millions of workers. Sadly, he could not bring himself to advocate for a lousy handful of sick days. To be fair to the president, a strike would cripple the U.S. economy. Of course, it would also hurt his approval ratings. Price of gas, food, cars, commuting, holiday gifts would go up. May even lose power at some points. Oil would stop flowing. It's a big deal. Phil Wegmann's here, White House correspondent for RealClearPolitics, one of the few reporters who asked some tough questions in the briefing rooms. It doesn't really seem like the White House is all that scared of the rail workers' unions.
Well, I think they would rather not talk about it because this is an uncomfortable situation for the president who likes to talk about how he's the most pro-labor president of all time. Because think back to what we just saw last fall. In September, President Biden went into the Rose Garden for a victory lap where he said that the agreement that he helped hash out between labor and the rail companies was a great deal for both sides. Turns out, though, four of those big unions who are affected by this deal, they disagreed. And now we're in a position where the president has said that he wants Congress to intervene and not effectively change the agreement he reached in September. Instead, he wants them to turn the screws on these railroad unions. And it's a tough look for this administration.
Is it going to really matter, though? Where else do the unions have to turn?
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. I think that you alluded to some of the displeasure that these guys have expressed. Take a moment and just think about what these railroad workers have been through. It's a lot like what the truckers went through during the pandemic. They didn't take time off during the pandemic. When the laptop class was working from home, these guys were actually going to work. And historically, labor relations between unions and the railroads, they've never been good. But what these guys want is they want a significant raise, they want paid time off, and they want sick leave. The agreement that was reached by the administration with input from the president in both parties was that they could have a pay increase and some time off. The unions will say, though, that pay raise was a long time coming. A couple days paid off is not enough. We want sick leave. And, you know, with their back against the wall, with rail affecting so much, I think someone's going to be walking away very unhappy.
Well, yeah, the unions already are unhappy, and it seems as though this is going to pass, right? I mean, you have all four congressional leaders who were there saying this is going to pass. It does. How much of this is the White House reading the tea leaves and realizing with a Republican House of Representatives, they're just not going to have the power to get done what they want to get done? And for whatever political capital President Biden has, if there was a rail strike ahead of Christmas, which you don't need a Nobel Prize in economics to realize would cripple America's economy in a way that we really can't comprehend, that he just couldn't afford it politically.
And the White House is certainly happy that this is happening now rather than before the election. That's the silver lining here for them. If you think that the debates over raising the debt limit were difficult, imagine this debate later when Republicans have control of the House. What I think is so fascinating about all of this is, yes, you noted that all of the congressional leaders, all of the party brass, they've effectively said, yeah, some sort of deal is going to get done. Congress can still still modify the agreement that Biden reached earlier this year. But it's interesting that Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and Bernie Sanders, these are guys who are so ideologically apart normally, they're all saying, hey, the unions are getting screwed here. There needs to be some sort of agreement that actually helps labor out. That just shows how unprecedented a lot of this is.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.